Hi everyone and welcome to another episode of Behind the Mask. Today we'll be speaking with our Chief Operating Officer who's going to share a little bit more about CyberIAM and our company culture. So just a little bit of an intro on Chris Loder. So Chris Loder is of course our Chief Operating Officer, been with the business for about 5 years now, comes from a background from the healthcare and tech side of things before moving over to cybersecurity with us. So Chris looks after all of the operational divisions across the business. So whether that be from an HR perspective, the marketing team, facilities, and basically everything in between. So he'll be sharing a little bit more about the company culture and the insights into CyberIAM. So Chris, thank you for joining us today out of your busy schedule. I think before we start and get into the company cultures, it's good to sort of know what our company values are and what sort of is the foundation that speaks to the company culture. So what are CyberIAM's company values?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on, Jan. CyberIAM has many different company sort of values, but really if you want to go and check them all out, visit the website. I'd say the core sort of value for me is our sort of integrity, honesty and empathy value that we have inside the organisation, because it hits absolutely every single team member. It's really important for CyberIAM to have that sort of honesty and integrity, mainly because we're a consultancy business. We deliver, cybersecurity products, and we've got to be that trusted advisor. So if we lie to a customer, lie to each other, we're dishonest about how we sort of, implement these systems and how long they all sort of take, that's our sort of reputation. So if you're not honest and upfront about that, then, you're not really going to have a business because, you trade on that sort of reputation. So integrity, honesty, and obviously empathy as well is incredibly important.
Thank you, Chris. It's really insightful. Of course, we do have many other values, but it's good to see that that's sort of the one that stands out to you. So just keeping with the theme of values, how do our company values impact our hiring and performance reviews across the business?
That's really sort of crucial, especially in the hiring sort of process. When we're taking people on, it's not just that we've got the best technical people, the best business people inside the organisation, the best person who's in the sales role or the recruitment role. It's really important that we get the best sort of skill set, but that company culture fit is integral, because it only takes a couple of sort of bad eggs to come into an organisation, and that really changes the company culture. And we work really, really hard through that sort of recruitment process and onboarding process to make sure that those individuals that we're bringing into our community have got those same values.
Well, it's great to hear how our values are basically the foundation for the company culture, and that impacts obviously who we hire, how we hire, and filters down. So can you tell us a little bit about how CyberIAM rewards success in the company?
One of the ways we celebrate success inside CyberIAM is we have a company culture champion scheme. So what basically happens through our HR system, any employee can recommend another employee and basically vote for them and with something that aligns to the company culture values. And then at the end of the year, the person who's got the most points gets to basically have a trip. Jen, you're one of those sort of people who won that sort of last year from the South African team and actually came over and visited the UK for a month, all expenses paid, and we've had other people in the UK do it the other way around and go and visit South Africa or even Australia.
And personally speaking, Chris, of course, it was amazing for myself, coming from South Africa, being able to work in the UK for a month. Not many companies would, sponsor an employee and reward them for that. So it's just really great sort of initiative to reward someone in that way. I mean, personally speaking, being able to experience that. So I can say that's a really amazing scheme. So then off the back of that, of course, we do a lot of things related to our values. We give thanks where thanks is due, underpinning our values. So team building is obviously really important across the business. What are some of the activities that we do across all our different locations to encourage team building?
We have quite a few team building activities. They're probably some of the highlights that most of the team sort of say on all the sort of feedback forms that they enjoy sort of doing. So we've done many things over the years. We've done loads of team building activities that are like the crystal maze and challenges. We've also done smaller things like go-karting and having games nights. These are all really, really important things just to bring the sort of team together. Some of them can be just, going off and, going for a nice meal and having some drinks and everything. But we've got a very diverse workforce, and some of the most actual popular activities we sort of do as a team could be just playing pool, having a poker night, doing sort of more physical sort of activities, maybe, doing a team sort of walk, up, Table Mountain.
Well, it's really amazing to see that we have an array of activities that we do for employees, whether you enjoy one thing or the other. So pivoting a little bit, you're of course on the executive team, and we have quite an impressive exec board. What would you say is CyberIAM's management style across the business?
That's a really good question. These management styles are always interesting. I always see this as a manager being different, because not everyone's the same. Generally, every people inside your organization, some people just need to be managed differently. So you've got to adapt that style. Some people could be at the very beginning of their career and need help, need more mentorship and more sort of time. Other people can have 15, 20 years in the industry. Now, they don't want maybe as much sort of, hand-holding in the sort of early days of joining an organization and everything. They can just hit the ground running and absolutely be flying through. So it all depends, these not just one management style, these many different sort of management styles, and it all comes down to the person who you're looking after and how they sort of respond to that. So you might start off with a different sort of management style when a person first joins the organization, and as you learn and adapt with that individual, and that person matures as well, then that management style may sort of change. And that's all to do with the sort of progression inside an organisation. You'll find myself do that and many of the other execs inside the organisation.
Well, that's very reassuring, being a member of the team, to hear that each manager has sort of a different approach and a different style. Not everyone sort of set in their ways. One thing I do know about CyberIAM is that, of course, we place a big focus on work-life balance. So can you share a little bit more about that?
Sure. I mean, I think everything and every organisation has probably changed since the pandemic, and that CyberIAM's really sort of had to adapt with that as well. I mean, before the pandemic, as many other organisations like ours would be on customer sites, 2, 3, 4 times a week. That's all changed now. Most organisations, maybe you go and visit them, once, twice a month, something along those lines. You're not there absolutely every day. There's some customers that like that, and it's great to sort of cater for that, and especially our more younger consultants have that sort of experience. But most customers now really don't want you sort of going onto site. Most of those people are working remotely as well. That's been able to give CyberIAM the flexibility to be able to offer a more flexible work-life balance inside of our sort of offices. We have, quite a few people who work remotely in the UK and in other territories that we occupy. Whereas, our large sort of offices, say in Cape Town or in Chester here, we have a flexible working policy. Now, a flexible working policy can mean all sorts of different things in this day and age. Flexible working policy for some people means, I'll work at home whenever I sort of want to. Our sort of flexible working policy is we expect people to come into the office, a couple of times a week would be nice, to make sure you're maintaining that company culture. It's very hard, and we've worked really hard with our remote workers to maintain that. So we've worked really hard to make sure that the offices, the facilities we're in now, have also got areas that are really adaptable and changeable for, a new sort of working environment. That there's also fun activities that happen in the office, that, everyone's got, a supply of, drinks, snacks, healthy snacks, but as well as we've got, a pool table, a communal area where people can come around and sort of gather. That's been really, really important. And, the office isn't for everyone every single day. But we don't expect that here at the company. I don't expect, people to be in 5 days a week. It's probably not going to have a really great sort of work-life balance to be able to do something like that. It's great to be able to come into the office, have that community experience, network and work in a particular way where you're probably going to get more done. And then these times where you do need to sort of be hyper-focused and work from home. So it's all about balance, and the company has really sort of embraced that change and really likes what that's been able to do to help the company sort of grow.
Well, it's obviously great to see the offices that we've created that are really great, so people can come into a work environment that's really beautiful and well set up, but also have the flexibility to work from home. So that's really great. And then sort of off the back of that, you've been here for over 5 years now. You've been here from when we basically started up until now, and the growth that we've seen. So how has, in your opinion, the company culture changed over the years?
That's a great question. So company culture is always a challenge for all organisations to try and maintain that, especially when you come from, when I started, I was like employee number 26, I think, inside the organisation. And, you know, the difference from having 26 people to now over 160 people is a massive difference of how you do that. You know, 26 people, you know, absolutely everyone's names, you know, loads probably about their sort of personal lives and everything. But when you get to 160, that's a different sort of challenge. The challenge we've sort of had and what's sort of changed is we've grown 40% year on year for the past sort of 5 years now. So how do we maintain that sort of agileness inside of our company culture where, you know, we get back to people quickly if it's a holiday quest, something that's really important to them, or a doctor's appointment, or, you know, something about their sort of career and where they want to go. Because once you get to a certain size, everyone wants to know about the career path and how do I get to become, you know, this level, where am I going next and everything. And that's always been like the sort of the biggest challenge, because we know which direction we're heading in. You know, it's hard to sort of plan all of that out and sort of tell everyone, and you've got to, you know, go back to those values of being, you know, really sort of honest and integral, you know, have that sort of integrity. So what we've sort of done is, during that growth, is we still kept that agileness inside the organisation to sort of move quick, make decisions and make changes very, very quickly. But then on the other side, we've put in a hell of a lot of structure into the organisation. So when someone joins the company now, it still feels like that agile, small, medium sort of business. But when they join now, they've got all the other sort of processes in there. And then you feel like a much larger organisation. The way that affects the sort of company culture and everything is it's had that sort of positive impact of feeling like, oh, I'm joining a large organisation that have got all these things in place for me, but then I still feel like I'm in that sort of startup, you know, company mentality. While this place is going places really fast, and there's lots of opportunity for that growth.
It's obviously great to hear from your experience, as I mentioned earlier, having been here since basically almost day one and seeing how the company's grown now. And I really liked your points about career progression. I think myself being a member of the team, I've seen and spoken to people, and career progression is obviously really important, especially nowadays, maybe more so than it was many, many years ago. So it's great to hear that CyberIAM places a big focus on that. I think before we wrap up, Chris, I think a great question that I'd like to hear the answer from you is, you personally, as Chris Loder, what makes you proud to work at CyberIAM?
For me, it's funny enough, I think if you ask most CyberIAM employees this question, everyone would say the people. It comes out in every sort of pulse survey we send out. It's always the people. We've worked really hard though to get that there. You know, when you say the people, a lot of people would think that, oh, you just got lucky. You got lucky by, you know, bringing this, you know, group of people together, and we're just really lucky that we've got, you know, some great people inside the organisation. However, we worked really hard to get those great people, and that comes from the recruitment process, the people management process, to make sure that we have got the very, very best people inside the organisation. So the people side is always the most important, and the thing I enjoy the most. One of the best examples of that is our graduate scheme, our CyberIAM University, taking, you know, young people out of university. It's their first job, and putting them in this amazing industry that is sort of cybersecurity, and seeing how those people progress incredibly quickly in their careers is something that adding to the cybersecurity industry, where most people would just be fighting over the same sort of individuals. And I think we've had nearly like 50 people through that sort of university program now. That's amazing. That makes me incredibly proud about what we've been able to accomplish in getting those people into this amazing industry.
I think what you've been saying, Chris, in basically all of your answers is that people is the crux of our business, and that we place a high focus on keeping our employees and our team happy. So that really does echo into everything that we do. Chris, I'd like to just end off by saying thank you for your time. We know that you are very busy, but we appreciate you sharing a little bit more about your experience, sharing some insight into CyberIAM and our company culture.
Thanks so much, Jen. Cheers.